Hello, servus and welcome to this video on the application procedure for Business in Economics at WU Vienna. Today I will walk you through the whole process in one go and share the necessary insights for the selection procedure along the way. But first of all, who am I to even talk about that? I'm Nicholas. I have written the BBE entrance exam in 2023 and passed it on the first try. I'm a happy BBE student since, and I have accomplished some very cool things along the way I want to share with you. First of all, I am among the top 5% of the students in my cohort. This allows me to get merit-based scholarships and, even cooler, to attend the exchange program of my dreams at the University of British Columbia in Canada. After my first year of studies, after I've finished my internship, I actually got a job offer of a very big famous consultancy, Rödl and Partner from Germany. I turned down the job offer to pursue entrepreneurship, to start my own education startup. And this is the reason why I am recording this video today, such that I can help you along the journey. So let's dive in. This video is split up in 4 main parts. I will share you some insights about the bachelor degrees offered at WU Vienna, such that you know the difference between the German degrees and the English degree. Then we will walk you through the insights of the BBE curriculum, followed by an overview of the BBE admission procedure. Then the main part of the BBE admission procedure, of course, being the BBE entrance exam, we will bust some common myths and I will show you what the BBE entrance exam environment actually looks like. Finally, we will talk about my favorite part about the BBE entrance exam preparation. In general, WU offers 3 different bachelor programs: Business Law, Wirtschaftsrecht, Business Economics and Social Sciences, Wirtschafts- und Sozialwissenschaften or WISO, and Business and Economics, BBE, the English-taught bachelor program we will talk about in this video. Business law and business in economics has nothing in common, and therefore we will only compare WISO and BBE. You can see the structure seems similar, but there are some very important differences. So first of all, you can see for WISO you can choose among 5 majors. For BBE, there's no such thing. To specialize in a specific area in BBE, you need to choose the corresponding specialization or 3 electives. We will talk about that later on when I show you the BBE curriculum. Let's now talk about other differences of BBE and WISO. The first big difference is the language of instruction. BBE is exclusively taught in English and WISO is primarily taught in German, but you might end up taking some English specializations if you want to. Another big difference is the size of the programs. For the Bachelor of Business and Economics, there are about 240 people accepted each year. For WISO, it's 2,700 something. So there's a tenfold difference. Consequently, there are very big lectures for WISO and not for BBE. In BBE, you usually know your fellow students. It has a more classroom-like feeling, which I enjoy very much. Also, there are examination weeks in WISO, not for BBE. You can think of an examination week of 1 week where all your exams take place. This way, you might up taking, for example, 5 exams in 1 week for all the lectures you had throughout the year. Not very convenient, in my opinion. Another major difference is how often courses are actually offered. For BBE, the core courses are only offered either in the winter or summer semester. And moreover, there is no winter or summer university for BBE students because there's just not enough demand for that. There are only 240 students and not too many people want to take exams during the holiday season. Moreover, there's a difference in the specializations offering. As I said, BBE is exclusively taught in English and therefore you can't take German, specializations. Of course, there's a difference, but still you have a very broad range of opportunities because most specializations are actually taught in English. Let's talk about the BBE curriculum. This is one of my favorite visualizations. It was shown to me the first time after I passed the entrance exam at the BBE Welcome Days. Unfortunately, I would have loved to see it before because this shows you which lectures take place in which semester. So here you have the lectures from the introductory phase. You need to pass those in order to be eligible for the core courses. Here you can see that the BBE degree is structured into 6 semesters. The first semester starts with the introductory phase. You need to pass the exams of the introductory phase such that you can register for the core courses, featured here for the first year in blue and in cyan for the second year. In general, each semester has a workload of about 30 ECTS. Of course, you can adjust the workload as you feel it fits. However, it's strongly recommended to follow the shown structure, because if you don't do so, you might run into some issues. I experienced it firsthand, and I can really recommend you to follow the structure as outlined here. You can start with 3 electives straight from the year 1. 3 electives are courses on whatever you want. You can take courses from other universities and accredit them to your studies at WU, which is supposed to give you a broader perspective of different things. This way, you can choose which field you want to specialize in. And what's even more important than the 3 electives are the specializations. You can only register for the specializations if you have a certain amount of credits. The same holds for the exchange semester. But more on that in another video. What I want to highlight is the option of the internship seminar. The internship seminar is great because during your summer break, where you can do only that much for university, you have the option to get credits for an internship. This means you get hands-on work experience, some money, because internships are usually paid in Austria, and credits during your summer months, which is a great opportunity to proceed faster in your academic and professional life. So, having talked about that, let's move to the next step, the overview of the application procedure. The application procedure is not that you register yourself and you start your study degree in the next winter semester like it's with other universities, because BBE is a very sought-after program. There are many more applicants than study places available, and therefore WU has introduced a selection procedure. There are rumors that Austrian students are preferred within the selection procedure, or that your high school grades influence your ranking. That's false, and I will tell you which steps of the selection procedure actually determine your ranking and determine if you get admitted to WU BBE or not. But first of all, I have prepared some statistics for you. Here you can see that WU offers 240 study places each single year since 2022. But the number of applicants is a multitude of that. The number of applicants rises every single year, and lately in 2025 there were about 6.5% of the applicants that actually got a study place. So this means that BBE is a very competitive program, and it's very important to focus on the things that impact your ranking in the selection procedure the most, such that you can maximize your chances of studying at WU Vienna. And for that matter, let's jump to the selection procedure. You need to fulfill a number of steps within the selection procedure such that you are eligible to study BBE. When I'm talking about that, I'm referring to step 1 to 5. Step 6 and 7 is for people that actually got admitted, that passed the BBE entrance exam and meet all formal requirements. Let's start with the very first step of the selection procedure, the online registration. The official WU website is the first step of the selection procedure. From here you can initiate the online registration, but be aware that the online registration only opens from March of the application year. That means if you want to apply for 2026, then the online registration opens from March 2026. I suggest you click through the application guide before, because the application guide shows you what you need to take care of in the application procedure. You select the program you want to study, Business in Economics, BBE in our case, and then you choose the corresponding background, like Matura, the Austrian High School Leaving Certificate in my case, and the website gives you all the information you need in order to start studying the degree. Click yourself through the requirements, the application and selection procedures, and make sure you have all the documents required in the admission. If you don't find answers to something, I highly recommend visiting the BBE Insider website. If you can't find an answer to some questions, I can highly recommend visiting the BBE Insider frequently asked questions section, because there are a lot of questions and answers. If you can't find your answers on the official WU website, go there, and if this FAQ doesn't has the answer to your specific question, feel free to leave a comment below and I will try to help you out. This document gives you an insight of the timeline 2025. Be aware that these dates are already outdated, they're old, and they won't be the same next year. And for that particular reason, we have created the WU BBE Entrance Exam Preparation Guide, which is basically all the important dates you need to keep in mind that are important for the selection procedure. If you fail to meet one of the deadlines, or if you fail to perform one of the steps of the selection procedure, you're out. You can't write the entrance exam and you can't start studying BBE in 2026. And for that particular reason, I suggest you click Get the Calendar, then you get all the events into your calendar and you get notifications and email updates when something changes. We will take care of that so you don't have to. Make sure you meet everything on time such that you can proceed your preparation for the entrance exam and start studying BBE in 2026. Going back to the initial website, if you click on Register Now, you get here. This page contains all the information of the selection procedure in great detail, and we will talk about it very briefly. Now, first of all, I want to highlight something. The selection procedure only takes place once a year, and therefore it's very important to do all your best in the preparation, because otherwise you might end up waiting for another year until you can start your studies, if it's BBE the thing you want to do. So, a little trick here, keep that in mind. If you, for example, want to start in 2027, you could already participate in the application process for 2026. How does it work? You write the BBE entrance exam, you perform all the steps of the selection procedure, and then you go to the admission such that you're already enrolled to BBE. You just don't take any courses in the first 2 semesters. That's absolutely fine. They don't want you to know that, but you can do it and then just start in 2027. The only thing that's very important is that you pay the student union's fees, otherwise you get deregistered. So let's start with the online registration. The online registration is just providing some general information about you. And within the online registration you have to pay the registration fee, which is 50 euros. If you don't pay these 50 euros, you can't participate in the selection procedure. What's very important for all of you that are in the last year of high school, you don't need to provide your secondary school leaving certificate at this point. It's only important after the exam in June or July. So no stress, it's all fine. What I want to emphasize is that for all people that are currently in the last year of high school, it's very important to start your exam preparation well in advance, because otherwise your final exams will collide with the BBE exam preparation, and this is a deal breaker for many students. So do yourself a favor, start your preparation in advance. It will save you a lot of stress and lead to better results in both the BBE entrance exam and your high school exams. You can click on register here. It will then pop up the online registration tool where you can fill out all your details. It's very self-explanatory, but I will still walk you through this process. So first of all, you click on set up a new account. You will put in an email address and the corresponding password. You click on to register, and then you get a confirmation email to your inbox. You press the link you got into your inbox and you get redirected to the next page. Here you click create account, you complete the registration, and you can return to the application. It's a bit cumbersome, but it's not that difficult. You plug in your details once again, and then you can start filling out your personal information. I will do that quickly, and then we move on to the next step. Now you fill out all your personal informations, and I will show you the next steps afterwards. Please note that you don't need to provide an Austrian social security number if you're not from Austria, and you also don't need to click anything here if you have not studied before. Once you filled in all your personal data, click on save and you will be able to click on continue. I can recommend uploading a nice picture of you because the machines taking the picture at WU don't do a good job. So upload a picture here. It's for your student ID card if you get admitted. But note it's not necessary. At this point you can just continue without doing it. It doesn't matter at all. So here we select the Bachelor in Business and Economics and add it to our list of registration. And because the application procedure has already ended for this year, we won't be able to proceed. But the thing you need to do next year is just to choose the bachelor's degree in business and economics and click continue. You will be provided with all the following informations on how to pay the registration fee. After you have paid the 50 euros application fee, you can proceed to the next step of the selection procedure, the online self-assessment, OSA. The OSA is the first part of the selection procedure that impacts your ranking. A part of the OSA is graded, and therefore it's important to be calm during the OSA, don't stress the process, don't try to rush through it, and if possible, do some preparations. WU says that you can easily do it with your high school knowledge, but what I saw so far is that many students are overwhelmed by the contents in the OSA, and if you plan to prepare for the entrance exam thoroughly, it makes sense to prepare and then do the OSA. Doesn't matter when you do the OSA as long as you finish it before the deadline. So let's talk about the OSA based on the information provided at the website. First of all, where to access the OSA. You can access the OSA through the online registration tool where you just paid the application fee. I will quickly scroll through the contents of this website because usually when WU updates the informations between the years, they will shut down the website and you won't be able to find it on the internet anymore. And therefore just feel free to watch the video wherever you want to read something. We will talk about the graded part of the OSA. As I already told you, the OSA consists of a graded and an ungraded part. And the graded part consists of English, mathematics, and economics. We will share more information on the contents of the OSA once it's published, and we will link a video up here. What's important is that the OSA impacts your ranking, but it's not as important as the entrance exam. If you plan to prepare for the entrance exam, it definitely makes sense to wait writing the OSA at the end of your preparation. To finish the OSA, you usually have time until June. And I suggest to take the time. Do the exam preparations before doing the OSA. It will help you a lot because the stuff you're preparing for the exam is also relevant for the OSA. Now we will talk about how the ranking actually works. You know, there are about 3,000 something applicants for BBE, and it's very important to have an objective ranking mechanism. And the primary method to rank students is the BBE entrance exam. Depending on how many questions you solve correctly, you get a specific number of points, and based on that, you are ranked. But it might be the case that some people have the same number of points. And for that particular case, and only for that case, we have the online self-assessment. If two people have the same number of points in the entrance exam, the score of their online self-assessment will be considered to rank those people accordingly. Therefore, it's not a deal breaker if you mess up the online self-assessment, but it might still decide if you get in or not. If you hover around spot 240 and you have the same number of points like someone else, you might up ending getting admitted to WU because you put in a lot of preparation for the OSA, or you might end up being neglected because you just rushed through the OSA and got a bad score. And therefore, I want to encourage you to do your preparations before you start the online self-assessment. Another very important step within the selection procedure is the exam preparation. The exam preparation consists of much more things than mentioned on the official WU website. We will talk about that in way more depth in other videos and quickly talk about it in the end of this video. For now, we will talk only about the mock exams provided by WU. Let's jump back to the website. When it comes to exam preparation, the website only talks about mock exams. What are the mock exams about? The mock exams are a way to test the exam environment WiseFlow. I will show you how it looks like shortly. You can test your setup and see if it works. You're not obligated to participate in the mock exams, but it's strongly recommended. Also, if you fail to participate in the mock exams, it doesn't matter. They are not graded and they don't influence the ranking in the selection procedure. It's just to get familiar with the platform. But what's important, that the mock exams really don't represent the actual entrance exam at all. They don't represent the difficulty and their contents are more or less just placeholders. So please be aware that the mock exams provided by WU are not the same thing like the exam simulations provided on the BBE Insider website. The exam simulation provides you real insights what the BBE entrance exam is like, and the mock exams by WU don't. The mock exams by WU are solely about the platform. Our exam simulations are about the content and the questions itself. That's a big difference. Keep that in mind. Once you're done with the mock exams, once you're done with the exam simulation and your exam preparation in general, you can proceed to the BBE entrance exam. We will cover the details in a minute after we have talked about the remaining steps of the selection procedure. The BBE entrance exam itself is the one and most important thing across the whole selection procedure. It determines your score. If you end up being among the best 240 people, you will be admitted to the program. If you don't, you won't. And therefore it's very important to prepare for the BBE entrance exam well in advance, and how this functions is something we'll cover at the end of this video. Given you score among the best 240 people, you can proceed to the admission. Regarding the admission, this is the time when you show your high school leaving certificate and your proof of English skills. In the admission, you officially enroll in the program, and it's really only important once you pass the BBE entrance exam. One thing to keep in mind, especially if you're not from Austria, is that you may need to legalize your documents, and this might take a few weeks or even months. And therefore it's important to take care of that just in time, such that you don't miss any deadlines of the admission procedure. After you are officially enrolled, you can attend the BBE welcome days, meet your fellow students, and proceed with your first semester. Now we will talk about the one most important thing, the BBE entrance exam itself. Surprising for many people is that the BBE entrance exam takes place as a written online exam. You heard correctly. It's written, it's online, you can do it from your own device, from your home. You don't need to travel anywhere, and that's a big plus. You might believe it's easy to cheat, but that's not the case. First of all, let's talk about some rules. A calculator is prohibited, and so are pen and pencil. All you're allowed to use is available from WiseFlow, which is the company behind the lockdown browser where you will be writing the entrance exam in. You will be provided a calculator, you will be provided a notepad and the drawing function. That's it. Everything else is prohibited. So, as mentioned here, if you're caught cheating, you will be excluded from the selection procedure, and WiseFlow makes sure you won't be cheating. WiseFlow shuts down all the applications on your computer, so you will only be able to access the actual exam. It will monitor your camera and your microphone, and if it catches you looking somewhere else than your monitor, you might be disqualified. Also, you're not allowed to put in AirPods because this could lead to cheating as well, and therefore you will get disqualified. So, what is the entrance exam about and what does it look like? It's a multiple choice questions only exam, which means you have an initial statement and 5 answer statements where you can choose if they're either true or false. And WU suggests to familiarize yourself with the type of questions in your preparation. And what's funny, they suggest to start with Austrian Maturas, but they're in a different format. But we will keep this for the later part, the exam preparation. So how much time do you actually have to write the entrance exam? It usually takes 2.5 hours, full 2.5 hours. The very most important thing in the entrance exam is time, because it runs out quickly. The exam is very extensive and you probably will need every single minute. So make sure you try out the drawing functions, the calculator of the exam platform, such that you're familiar with it and can work with it faster during the actual exam. What's being tested on the BBE entrance exam? The entrance exam is divided up into 3 parts: English, Economics and Mathematics. What's important here is that these 3 parts are not weighted equally. This means that the English part is not worth as many points as the economics part, for example. That's very important to consider in your preparation, therefore you need to devote your time accordingly. This just makes sense. Spend your time on the areas that get you the most points. That's important, because if you have the most points, you end up scoring the best in the ranking. For English, you can expect reading comprehension, English in use, and some grammar tasks, like you know from all the English certificates or even from the Matura. Here it's important not to lose too much time on reading the text, and then when we go to economics, we have provided a booklet. The economics booklet as of today is from 2019. And I believe they will update the booklet for 2026 because they did so in the past for the German degree, and it would just make sense to update a 6-year-old booklet. Regarding economics and business, you can expect content from the booklet to show up. What to keep in mind is that the booklet content is rather theory heavy, and the questions in the BBE entrance exam are rather focusing on practical applications. So when it comes to monetary policy, demand and supply, accounting, and things like that. Focus on how to really apply these concepts in real life. And what's very helpful in that regard is to get an idea of the questions. To get an idea what practical questions from economics might look like, you should go back to this page. This page is where we started off, the bbeinsider.com/2026 page, where you got all the dates for the selection procedure. If you scroll down a little bit, you see the button Go to Free Sample Paper, and the free sample paper is where we have gathered a number of exam questions and practice questions for English, economics, and mathematics. If you click on there, just sign up, create an account, and then you can start and explore these exam questions. Let's navigate to economics. You can see there are a number of questions, and if you expand those, you will see exam-like questions. So this is what exam-like questions look like and what you can expect. And let's talk about mathematics. Mathematics in this exam is the most feared part. And I get why. There are 13 topics, from logic to binomial distribution. Many topics which were not even taught in your high school probably, but that will show up in this exam. WU suggests to learn with the standardized competence-oriented written school leaving examinations, which are the Maturas, for this exam. As mentioned before, WU surprisingly suggests to familiarize yourself with this type of question in preparation, multiple choice questions, because also mathematics is a multiple choice. But what you need to keep in mind is that the Matura examples are not a multiple choice, and therefore it's not a great way to prepare with them. Doesn't make much sense. Also, regarding the difficulty, I myself, as a good student in mathematics, I scored 100% on the Matura, have to say that the BBE entrance exam tasks were way more difficult for me. And this is the way most students feel about that. So just be aware. Moreover, WU suggests 2 textbooks. It's not that much fun working with those because they're like this thick, have 1,000 pages, and contain so many materials that are not relevant for the entrance exam. That's not very helpful to prepare with them. They are great if you want to get a general understanding of mathematics, but they're also great when you want to get distracted from the things that really matter for your exam preparation. Moreover, they also don't have multiple choice questions, unfortunately. Having talked about that, it makes sense to focus on the things that are in the exam format and that are nothing but relevant for the exam. Everything else is more or less a waste of time. Having talked about that, we are more or less done with that website of WU. The last thing I want to highlight is that WU does not offer any preparatory courses for the online entrance exam, unfortunately. But if you want to figure out how to prepare for the BBE entrance exam, I will show you in all our other videos. With that being said, I want to jump to WiseFlow and show you what the actual exam interface looks like. I searched for a screenshot in the internet. Unfortunately, it's not possible to record the exam interface due to technical restrictions of the platform, but this is what you can expect. This is the real exam interface. Here you will be provided task-specific informations you will need in order to solve the answer options. When it comes to the answer options, you have 5 answer options, and for each single one you need to determine whether it's true or false. In the top left you see this whole task allows for a maximum of 3 points. This means in the grading scheme of the entrance exam you will get 1/5 of the total achievable points per correct answer option. There is no negative points for incorrect answer options. So, for example, if you choose 2 answer options correctly and 3 answer options incorrectly, you will end up with 2/5 of 3 points. because I want to show you how the actual calculator, the notepad function, the drawing function works, we will navigate to the exam simulation because we replicated the actual exam environment on our website such that you can practice it. This is the starting point of the exam simulations on our website. As of today, we have 3 different options, and we will get started with the very first one, such that I can show you the calculator and things like that. In the top left, you have the calculator button. Here you can access the calculator and practice with it. Practicing with the calculator is very important, such that you get used to it and you get faster by using it. So make sure to use exactly this calculator or some calculators that are very similar to this one, because this will save you time during the entrance exam. And as we said, you will run out of time during the entrance exam very quickly. Every minute counts. So this is a very basic calculator, and then you have the drawing tool such that you can draw on the whole screen. You can draw your functions and sketch your ideas here. Nothing too spectacular, and there's also the notes function where you can type in using your keyboard. This is basically it about the functions for the entrance exam, and what I can highly recommend is that you use this drawing function in combination with the notepad function and the calculator function when you go ahead and practice something. If you do so for the free sample paper, the calculator is not available because it's too expensive for us to host a few thousand calculators on our website, but you're supposed to do so. You could also potentially use the Microsoft Whiteboard, which is fully for free available on the internet, and just use the inbuilt calculator of your device. But the best option is to use the same one like provided. Now you know about the selection procedure, the entrance exam, what it looks like, which materials are covered, and what you need to take care of. We have not talked about the actual exam preparation yet, and we will only do so very briefly. But before, I want to cover some frequently asked questions. Once again, if you have any questions, go to the FAQ section of BBE Insider. There are a lot of answers to your questions, and else from that, feel free to ask in the comments. The first one I want to talk about is, does the entrance exam always take place? Yes, it does, because you saw there is a tenfold or more number of applicants for each study spot, and the applicants need to be selected somehow. And for that matter, the entrance exam takes place. How many points do you need on the entrance exam in order to be admitted to WU BBE? I can't tell, and everyone that tells you a particular number is not very trustworthy, because you should know that every single year the difficulty of the exam is somehow different, and you don't need a rigid percentage score to pass the exam, but you need to score better than other applicants. Indeed, you need to score among the best 240 applicants, and therefore the score of other applicants matters as well. So the best way to figure it out is to go with a percentile approach, which we'll talk about in this video. Next question, when will you find out if you get in? Usually you will figure out about 1 to 2 weeks. When will you get the results for the entrance exam? Usually 1 to 2 weeks after the exam took place. Can you apply for multiple degrees at the same time? Yes, you can. You can apply for WISO, the German-taught bachelor's degree, and BBE, the English-taught bachelor's degree. And I recommend doing so if you speak German, because for WISO the application rate is about 50%, so you have a way better chance of getting accepted than for BBE. And it's always good to have a plan B, and I can tell you, if you prepare well for BBE, you don't need to prepare for WISO that much at all. If you need help with the preparation for WISO, this channel is not the right one for you, but this is. Check it out. Now coming to the last part of this video, the BBE entrance exam preparation. I could talk hours about this one, but I won't in this video. I will just give you some things you should think about and some common paths that are taken by students before you. So first of all, you need to decide what matters to you. What's important? Do you want to save your time? Do you want to save money? Do you want to make sure you get accepted? Depending on that, your approach will differ, because some approaches will take more time but cost less money. Other approaches will take less time and cost more money, for example, private tutoring. And there are also approaches that just take a lot of money, take a lot of time, and won't work at all. So you need to choose the proper one. That's the first thing. What you should think of is that this bachelor's degree at WU Vienna is basically for free. You just need to pay a couple of euros per semester or a couple of €100 for a semester as a non-EU student, which is very, very inexpensive. You can even do it like me and end up getting paid for studying through merit-based scholarships or through grants for your exchange semester. Therefore, choose your approach. What you need to be aware of is that the materials featured on the WU website are used by everyone. And if you want to stand out, preparing like everyone else is definitely not the best option. It's just like having the same shirt like everyone else. Of course, you won't stand out. But you need to do something differently. You need to put in more work, use better materials, or be extremely more smart than anyone else applying for the program. So depending on your situation, it depends what makes most sense. These materials featured on the WU website are a very important fundamental building block. Especially the script in economics is something you need to work through. When it comes to mathematics and the materials provided in the Matura, it's just not comparable to the entrance exam. When it comes to the books and for learning the basics of mathematics, it makes sense. But if you want to use these books, be aware that you need to spend a lot of time working on them, because they're like this thick, have 1,000 pages, and many things are not relevant for the entrance exam. This doesn't mean that the things are not relevant for your studies at all. Of course, it's good to know many things, but if you're in your final year of high school, you might be somehow limited time-wise, and you might want to make the most of your exam preparation for BBE next to your actual final year in high school. And in doing so, the best thing for you is probably choosing a guided preparation course. I'm a provider of a guided preparation course, and many others are as well. But be careful, there are many scammers out there. If someone offers expert help and you don't even find a face behind the course offering that, be cautious. You might lose your money, you might up getting things that are available for free as well, like the Matura tasks. Same holds for some AI generated courses. They're nice, but they're probably not relevant or also available for free in the internet. Next to the preparation courses, something very common is private tutoring. When it comes to private tutoring, you need to be aware that you should choose materials that are relevant for the exam, because I see many people spending a lot of money on private tutoring, learning materials very well that are not relevant for the entrance exam, and of course they end up not getting accepted, because it doesn't matter if you're great at, I don't know, medicine, if you're required to know economics for the exam, just to show an extreme example. The same holds for certain topics in mathematics. For example, you won't need integrals for the entrance exam, but many people learn it in the preparation. It's just more or less a waste of time. It's not unnecessary to know it in general, but it's just not the most important thing for the entrance exam. When it comes to private tutoring, it's one of the most expensive options, and I don't really recommend it too much because you should learn self-directed and independent studying for the university. And when is the best time to start? Of course, it's now. And you should make sure to learn that skill before you enter university, because otherwise you might end up having issues in the first or second semester. In conclusion, my personal opinion is that you should opt for a self-guided preparation course, because this is the best option in regards to price performance. And with that, you will be able to learn self-directed and independent studying, which is very important for university. You don't want to miss that skill in the first semester, otherwise you might drop out after getting accepted, which is not the purpose of the whole thing. If you want to learn more about self-guided preparation courses, I suggest you go to the BBE Insider website and learn more about that. In the end, I want to remind you about one thing. The BBE entrance exam takes place in about 316 days. If you're watching this video, it's probably less, but it still applies. You're preparing weeks in advance, months in advance, something you have never done before in high school, and therefore it's very important to learn the right way. If you're preparing like for every other high school exam, like cramming the materials into your head a few days or 1 or 2 weeks before the exam, you won't succeed. It's very important to know and to acknowledge that you will learn a lot of materials. Many materials in English, economics and mathematics at the same time and months in advance. And you want to recall those materials months in advance, and in the best case, not just forget them after the entrance exam, because these materials are extremely important for your first and second semester of business and economics. And if you learn them in a way, you can recall them during the entrance exam easily. And for the first and second semester, you have a very big benefit. You're not learning for passing the exam, but you're learning to excelling in the BBE program and to achieving a great job afterwards. So my personal suggestion is not to go and start with learning logic for mathematics in the beginning, but to start learning about learning strategies. As stupid as it may sound, it will save you a lot of time later on, and it will reduce your exam stress a lot. Also, what I saw is that people that used learning strategies in the past, and that especially people that started the preparation months in advance, were far more likely to succeed than anybody else. However, there's one thing that successful applicants had in common. It's not that they started months in advance, but also that they asked smart questions throughout the whole preparation journey. And with that being said, this is one learning strategy as well. I want to finish this video and remind you to sign up for the calendar, which shows you all the important deadlines for BBE, such that you can make sure to meet all the steps of the selection procedure in time, and you're updated to go with that. If you're determined to make your way to WU, I can suggest to start your preparation as soon as possible. Next to asking smart questions, this is a very important success factor of successful applicants. And what I want to emphasize is that you don't only learn for the exam preparation, but also for your first and second semester. The better you prepare, the better learning strategies you use to recall the things for the long term, the easier it is to get successful during your studies. And being successful in your studies helps you get merit-based scholarships, get to the exchange university wherever you want, to land coveted internships, and in the end up in the job you want to end up at. So, start your preparation today, make the most out of it, make sure you meet all the deadlines of the selection procedure, get yourself the reminders from this page, get yourself the dates. I'm more than happy to guide you through this preparation journey, and if you want to take help from someone that successfully passed the entrance exam on the first try, you're invited to sign up for the BBE entrance exam preparation course using this blue button, and I am more than happy that you made it all the way to the end of this video, and talk to you soon.